Week 9 NFL. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Chris from OccupyFantasy.com here with another video talking about some NFL DFS picks and tips for the Week 9 slates on DraftKings and FanDuel. Talking about the quarterback position in this video. Week 9 looking pretty tough. Well, again, as always, I guess I should say before we get into the video here, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment below if you have any questions. Those things certainly help us out and let us know you want to see more of this stuff from us weekly, and we'd be happy to keep delivering it for you. This week has been kind of interesting. In the middle of the week here on Wednesday, a lot of different news floating around in the NFL. Some pretty terrible, obviously that Henry Ruggs situation, and some kind of slate-breaking news from the injury/player availability standpoint here at the quarterback position. And I think that's really where I want to start this week. First things first, we have no Tom Brady on this slate. Buccaneers are on bye. No Matthew Stafford. The Rams are playing in prime time. So a couple of quarterbacks people like to play are unavailable to us. A lot of the good quarterbacks are on this slate. You know, Josh Allen with the Bills, Lamar Jackson with the Ravens, Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs, Dak Prescott maybe back for the Cowboys. Those are certainly guys that we're interested in playing this week. But there's a phenomenon I think that will take place here this weekend in DFS lineups that's worth examining a little closer, and it's the cheap quarterback phenomenon. Jordan Love is going to be starting for the Packers over Aaron Rodgers, who's ineligible to play now that he is on the COVID-19 restricted list this week. Jordan Love is fairly cheap. Minimum price $6,000 on FanDuel for a quarterback, $4,400 here on DraftKings. And a little ahead of the curve on this one, but it sounds like it's extremely possible that Kyler Murray may miss this game for the Arizona Cardinals. That would put minimum price Colt McCoy in play as their backup quarterback as well. $4,000 here on DraftKings, $6,000 over on FanDuel. Now, the last time we saw a situation like this that I could recall was Week 11 last year. Week 11 of the 2020 season. Taysom Hill with the Saints was thrust into a starting role with Drew Brees injured after salaries had come out. So here we are. This is the Millionaire Maker from Week 11 of last season. And you see Taysom Hill was in the winning lineup without anyone pairing a run back or even a stack partner with him. And that's just because his $4,800 salary was really tasty on this slate. Got 25 points at that salary. Now the major caveat here, I think, in Week 9 of 2021 with Jordan Love and Kyler Murray's backup Colt McCoy is we don't really have the rushing upside with either of these two guys, but we do have to really think about the lineup flexibility that these guys give us, especially in low risk lineups. You know, just as a kind of case study here, it does feel like, you know, we pull up some of the air yard statistics this year, and through the last 3 weeks, you know, we have Tyreek Hill with a major role for the Chiefs. He's actually leading the NFL in targets over the last kind of 3-week sample for all NFL wide receivers. We have Marquise Brown, who's actually the leader in air yards for all receivers in the NFL over the last 3 weeks. He's pretty reasonably priced here on DraftKings and over on FanDuel as well. And then we have Amari Cooper, who for some reason is just $5,700 here on DraftKings, pretty reasonably priced over on FanDuel as well, kind of like Marquise Brown. I feel like these are the types of things, just from a hypothetical high-level standpoint, you're going to try to see people do with their low-risk lineups, maybe even some of their high-risk lineups. They're going to try to get some of these guys in here. And, you know, being able to kind of go to somebody like Colt McCoy if he does get the start for the Cardinals, or Jordan Love, you know, if he does get the start for the Packers, is probably what people will try and do here, especially if Devontae Adams gets reinstated. You might see Jordan Love get a decent amount of ownership, especially in low-risk formats, being able to get this kind of mini stack in place. Also in tournaments, you know, Love with Adams and Tyreek Hill is certainly something that may stick out to people. Something to be careful of here is the line for this game has dropped by, I think, like 7 points. I think the over-under was originally in the mid-50s, you know, 54, 55 points. DraftKings Sportsbook now has it as about 48 points. So I feel like the loss of Aaron Rodgers is having a big impact on how people are viewing the Green Bay and the Kansas City game on this slate. This is supposed to be a quarterback video. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the other quarterbacks who may be interested in playing come Sunday. I do think Josh Allen is probably going to be one of the most popular options. Buffalo Bills have the highest implied team total on this slate. I believe it's like 31.5 points. Jaguars are the best matchup for a quarterback on this slate. And Josh Allen is currently the odds-on favorite to be the MVP in the National Football League. So people are definitely going to try to jam him into their lineups against the Jacksonville Jaguars here in Week 9. I like Lamar Jackson. I think these are the guys that I actually, jumping over to my own rankings, this is Again, the air yards I was talking about. I've got Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson back-to-back as kind of 1 and 2 on this slate. And I do think Lamar Jackson, just because he comes in at a fairly reasonable price compared to Josh Allen, is probably the better way to go in low-risk lineups if you're paying up a quarterback. Lamar Jackson responsible for an outrageous amount of the scrimmage yards with the Ravens just because of the turmoil and turnover they're having at the running back position. They're relying on him pretty heavily there, a little more heavily than usual. And he's passing more. He's eclipsing this 30 pass attempt total for the last 5 games you see here in his game log. So Lamar Jackson with a pretty good matchup here against the Vikings in the running game. Vikings are a pretty decent pass defense, so that may be something that causes Lamar to struggle a little bit, but he can always pull the ball down and find something with his legs in the open field, which is what always gives him a good floor in fantasy football. I think by now it's well documented that Patrick Mahomes has been having some struggles, especially in the turnover department. Primetime spot against the Giants on Monday Night Football definitely left some points on the field despite the fact they were able to get the win, but now is facing a Green Bay defense that is actually a fairly decent matchup for him in the passing game. Chiefs have the 3rd highest implied team total on this slate, and they have pretty good blocking, so Mahomes should have time. Hopefully he can get back on the right page with Travis Kelce. Hopefully he can continue to connect with Tyreek Hill. Mahomes is going to be a good quarterback to play in all formats this week, once again. It does sound like here on Wednesday afternoon that Dak Prescott is getting a normal practice workload, which means we'll get access to him at this pretty reasonable salary of $6,900 on DraftKings, $7,900 over on FanDuel. 2nd highest implied team total on the slate for the Cowboys. And as I was talking about earlier, when we were talking about the true cheap QBs, Prescott's receivers are just not priced appropriately here. CeeDee Lamb is obviously going to be a little bit more difficult to fit into your lineups, but look at Amari Cooper, potentially Michael Gallup coming back. I think a lot of people are going to default to playing Dak Prescott in their lineups if he does get the start here in low-risk contests. There are a couple of other guys I think are interesting this week, kind of popping in my own projections early in the week, and one of them is Jalen Hurts. I think he has potential to be the 4th best quarterback this week as far as fantasy football scoring is concerned. Over 200 passing yards, hopefully a passing touchdown. The rushing floor is there. He still is the leading rusher for the Eagles. The touchdown production wasn't there last week in the blowout against the Lions. He left the game early because it wasn't competitive anymore, and all the touchdown production went to the other players on the roster, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, right? So that's pretty much the worst possible result for Jalen Hurts you're going to see in a football game, and he still got us over 10 fantasy points. So I got to hope that some of the touchdown production goes back his way. Another quarterback I think may go overlooked. Obviously, again, I think the Kyler Murray injury concern is there, but Derek Carr. Derek Carr has over 300 yards passing in 3 out of his last 5 games for the Raiders. His price is very reasonable. It's been right around this high 5s, low $6,000 salary threshold on the DraftKings side of things, where the 300-yard bonus comes into play. Derek Carr certainly interesting here against the Raiders against the Giants, off their bye week, looking to get a big win here to sort of change some of the headlines about the team right now. But I think Derek Carr is actually a really strong play as well here in Week 9 in fantasy football land as a result. So just to wrap things up, going back to Jordan Love and Colt McCoy, I do think there'll be options this week. Understand they're not going to be the greatest quarterback options. You can see here I actually have them ranked fairly low in my own raw fantasy point projections here if they actually end up playing. The question is, what kind of lineup flexibility do they allow you to have? Both Love and McCoy will kind of grade out well in terms of the elusive fantasy points per dollar that we're looking for here in DFS lineups. And we are looking for, that kind of 15-ish fantasy points from our quarterback in low risk to be viable in order to get some of the better plays in the slate into our lineups. So just keep that in mind. I do think here in Week 9 it is in play to consider a punt quarterback. I'm not sure that I'm going to be doing it just yet. I do think you will see a lot of players at least consider it. Probably Jordan Love more so than Colt McCoy, but we'll see what happens when we get to Sunday. So that's kind of how we're looking at the quarterback position here at Occupy, here through the early part anyway of getting ready for Week 9. I appreciate you guys as always for watching this video. Make sure you stay tuned to the website for the Daily Plug, which will drop on Friday afternoon. That's where we'll go over not just our favorite expensive and value quarterback plays on the Week 9 slate, but also our favorite plays at all the other positions. And then we'll give you some of our tips and tricks for kind of building your lineups appropriately for low risk and high risk contests That's really the most important part of the daily plug. Teaches you how to kind of play those contests appropriately, so you certainly don't want to miss out on that. As always, would appreciate you give us a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below if you have any questions about quarterbacks or anything else NFL DFS related. We'd be happy to talk to you about that. And always, you can consider joining our Discord. There's a button to do that, linked above the description of every video that we have here for you. Once again, for Occupy, I am Chris. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.